Coming off a huge win in his last fight, a dominant performance at UFC 258. Welcome back, Belal Muhammad. Belal, welcome back and congratulations on an amazing win, man. I know several in a row now, but it got to feel good to get a dominant victory like that, especially one people are still buzzing about today.
Yeah, man, it's exciting. It feels good. It was one of those performances where I feel like people are going to remember it and people are excited about it. So that's what gets me excited. When fans are talking about it, people are tweeting about it. That's what I'm happy about.
Absolutely. That was, I know Dhiego Lima wasn't, a ranked fighter necessarily, but he's a tough opponent. And I got to be honest, man, you've been improving with every fight, but the way you took him apart in that fight was, I mean, it was a masterpiece, man. And the game plan, the strategy, everything paid off. Like, it kind of gave me your idea, like how it was going into the fight and how it played out versus your expectations.
Yeah, man. It was one of those things where all week, all month, you're hearing people, oh, this is good. This is an easy fight. You're gonna walk through them. This is an easy fight, and then those are the hardest fights. Those are the fights where, like, I'd rather be an underdog with all my fights because I got nothing to lose. The one where I'm a huge favorite, where people are expecting something out of you to go in there and dominate. Those are the like scariest fights to me. And I hate when people tell me that, like, oh, hey, bro, I'm looking at the odds. How much should I bet on you? And I'm like, bro, stop talking to me right now. Like, you make me mad. Yeah, I don't want to hear that. Like, I was like, dude, stop. And it was one of those where I felt like I finally got a ranked number next to my name, and I had to go out there and prove it why I'm ranked. I was asking for a while, saying I need to be ranked. Give me a number, and I put a lot of pressure on myself to go out there and put on a performance where to show that I'm on a different level, to show that I am a ranked guy and that I do deserve the ranked fighter next. And that's what the type of performance I wanted to put on. I wanted to put on a pressure fight. You saw with the Lyman fight. Lyman is one of those guys. Lyman Good's a tank, so I couldn't back him up at all. So I had to fight differently. And with this fight, I was more pressure. I was more in his face because he likes to stay on the cage a lot, likes to move on the cage a lot. And obviously, he's been working on his takedown defense a lot. So like a lot of the time I was going to shoot on him. It was more so just to give him something to think about instead of really go for a takedown. But I knew I just had to keep the pressure on him, and it worked out perfectly with my game plan.
Yeah. Obviously everyone loves a big finish. You want to go out there and you want to get a knockout, but at the same time, I'm a big fan of going out there and dominating a full 3-round fight like that because you do get to show more your weapons, your durability, your endurance, things like that. And I thought that was a real complete fight for you because so many times when we talk about certain fighters, you say, oh, well, he's a wrestler. He's coming from a wrestling background. I mean, Kamaru Usman, the champion, say, oh, he's a wrestler. And then he goes out, knocks somebody out. You're like, oh, wow. And that was kind of the same way with you. Like everyone says, oh, Bilal's a wrestler. But man, your striking has come so far in what you've done with that. And obviously you did throw in a couple takedown attempts, but I kind of recognize like you were attacking everything. You got to show so many weapons in that fight. Like it had to be good. I know you would have loved a knockout, but to be able to show that kind of complete performance, that means something.
Yeah, to me, I feel like that shows you a lot more. When in a fight, anybody can get knocked out. All it takes is one punch. These are 4-ounce gloves. So like you really can't get a good read of somebody where a lot of guys they could go out there and like even like Frankie Edgar, where a lot of guys are telling him, man, he needs to retire now. But I'm like, dude, he was just an amazing fight with Pedro Munoz the fight before that. Like literally, this is all it takes is one punch, one kick, like one little slip up, and like you could lose the fight. And for my style, I'm that guy that I could go the distance. I could show you. You're gonna have to break me. You're gonna have to, unless you put me to sleep, I'm gonna be in your face the whole time, and I'm gonna make you use all your skills. You're not gonna beat me with just one skill. And outbox me or outstrike me or outgrapple me. Like you're gonna need every single tool in your toolbox to beat me. And that's what I feel like. It's more difficult for a guy to win a dominant decision than it is for a guy to get a quick knockout or a punch. Some people are blessed with knockout power like a Francis Ngannou, where it may not look like the best technique, but literally his last 3 fights were like 10 seconds each. But what takes more skill, to dominate a guy for 15 minutes or to finish a guy in 10 seconds? Like skill wise, I think it takes more to dominate a guy.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I'm a big Francis Ngannou fan. I love that guy, But you look what happened his first fight with Stipe when he actually went in there against a guy who could go 5 rounds, who had the wrestling, kind of took didn't get that knockout in the first 2 minutes of the fight. What happened? Now, obviously, you work on improving and getting better from that, but it's true. There's a lot of guys like that. You get that quick finish, but what happens when you're in the 14th minute and the guy just won't go away, or a guy takes you down or whatever? Like these are things that we have to see proven. And I think that's the kind of performance you remember, much like you remember the name Belal Muhammad.
Yeah, exactly. Or you could be that guy. Literally, you look at Rodolfo Vieira. He was the biggest favorite on the card. And when I say that, like literally, people are like looking at Fluffy like, oh, this is gonna be he's gonna walk through him. It's an easy fight. But those are the most dangerous fights because those are where you're not expecting much out of the guy. The guy's a purple belt and he tapped out the black belt killer. And it shows you like how much like why you need all those other skills. Like Rodolfo Vieira is amazing on the ground, but his strike is not there. And you could tell that when it's time to strike, he gets nervous, and those nerves they start taking away from your gas tank. And when he didn't get that first submission, when he took him down so easily, and you're like, oh, he mounted him, it's over, it's over, it's over. But you got a guy that's not accepting that. Fluffy didn't accept that. He didn't accept losing. He didn't accept getting tapped out. He didn't say, okay, dang, he's on top of me, he got me, it's over. No, he said, I need to get back to my feet. He got back to his feet. That's where Rodolfo's uncomfortable. That's when you start getting punched, and you're like, oh crap, this guy didn't just fold. Everybody told me he was supposed to fold. Everybody said I was 30 to 1 favorite. What the heck? How come this guy's not folded? Those are the hardest fights. And like it showed, it takes away from your gas tank. And to me, like he tapped out. He was looking for a way out because it was like one of those where like my game plan didn't work. So you break. For me, I could go, my game plan in there was to take him down. Hey, I didn't take him down until the third round. So like I knew I had to switch it up to something else. And my something else was punching him in the face.
And I know you worked a lot with Mike Valley and the team down in Chicago. I know Mike, I go back many, many years with Mike, phenomenal striking coach. He's one of those guys who kind of lurks in the shadows. He's not out doing interviews and, touting himself as this or that. But I know Mike, he's a phenomenal coach. I know he worked with, Yair Rodriguez, a lot of people who were down there, Juliana Pena. There's a lot of people who worked out of that gym. And it seemed like, you did find a good chemistry working with those guys out of Chicago.
Yeah. Man, I love working with him. Like you said, like he's one of those guys where even when I tell him, let's take a picture, like, no, I don't really care about a picture. Like he doesn't want the credit for it. That's why a lot of my interviews, I give him a lot of credit because he's taking my game to another level with like footwork and his mentality. I love his mentality. It's not like he's a striking coach and he only wants to put striking on me, make me like a Yair type fighter. No, he was like, literally, we still wrestle freaking 4 or 5 times a week. And he's like, you need wrestling in a sport. And he has a group of really good young fighters. They're all amazing strikers, but he's like telling them like, yo, you need wrestling. You need wrestling. You need wrestling. Even on like sparring days, he'll be like, oh, you know what? We're not even punching. Everything's hard on the ground. Everything's grappling. And he's a striking coach. That's what I love about him, where it's like, he knows what wins in the sport. I love his mindset. He knows what it takes to be a champion in the sport. And 90% of it is to have that grappling.
Absolutely. So now, Belal, coming out of that fight on Saturday night, I know you saw it because you retweeted it, which I appreciated. But I said, coming out of that, you're a guy who, you're in the top 15. I think at this point you deserve ranked opponents. Now, I really enjoyed your call out, Li Jingliang, because it was a guy that made sense. You mentioned that post fight. And I appreciate that because obviously you could call out Colby Covington, but Colby's not going to take that fight. So you call it a guy that makes sense. Now, I mentioned Neil Magny, not because I have any disrespect for Neil Magny. Neil's an incredible fighter, but I thought, man, that's a guy in the top 10. That would be kind of a step up and a great matchup. But you kind of give me your thoughts like right now, because at this point, like in your head, it's got to be ranked fighter or nothing, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Hello?
Yep, I'm here.
Yeah, I literally been calling out these ranked guys for a while now. And, they always had the excuse that, oh, he's not ranked. I got nothing to gain. But now I'm on that. I got a number next to my name. I finally got that ranking. And now it's like, there's no excuse. And it's like you said, like a lot of the time you see a lot of guys, they waste their call out. They'll get on there. They'll get on the mic. Oh, let me get Nate Diaz. Let me get Conor McGregor. You want some? But like, these guys are not going to take that fight. Like Leon Edwards, he just sat there, tweeted out, oh, only give me Covington or Masvidal. Are you guys down to fight? And it's like a 4-week notice fight. Like, these guys aren't going to accept that fight. Like, why are you wasting it calling these guys out? Like, obviously, I could sit there and look tough and be like, oh, I'm calling out the champion. Oh, Belal called out the champion. But it's like, I know that's not going to be the fight. Like, I'm calling out a realistic fight that I could get. Like, I've been asking for a ranked guy, a ranked fighter. And if I have to sit there and climb up one by one, like I had nothing against Li Jingliang. I literally just called him out because he was right above me, and there's like no reason for him to say no. If I sat there and I called out somebody else that's like 8 or 7 or 6, and then they'll be like, "Oh well, I'm only looking upward." Like, okay, whatever, you could use that excuse, but like you're number 12, I'm 13. Like it makes, and you just fought an unranked guy, so like it makes sense. We're both coming off unranked wins, so why not put that one out there? But like, man, I like that Neil Magny fight. I think that'll be a fun fight matchup wise. stylistically, it makes sense. Both of us have great cardio, have good grappling, have good striking, and he's coming off a loss to Chiesa, but I don't usually like to fight guys off losses, but he's number 9. So like if I could skip a couple of people to climb up the ladder faster, I'll do that.
Yeah, well, that's what I said with that one. I was like, Neil, the last fight that Neil had, obviously, Chiesa, he struggled a little bit with the takedowns and the grappling. And obviously, Chiesa is a phenomenal grappler. But again, you come from that grappling background, you come from that wrestling background, you have that ability. I said, look, that's the kind of test you want. Now, coming off a loss to a grappler, prove you can fight another grappler, and that would be a fun fight. And it gives you a chance to step up in competition. It gives you a chance. It gives him a chance to fight a guy who has obviously you're not Chiesa, but I'm saying like, a similar background. I just thought it was a fight that really made a lot of sense.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just a fun fight. And it's funny because we used to train together in Chicago and Indiana. So like I've worked with them before. Like we're friends, we're cool. But like, it's not like one of those where it's like, to me, it's a business. Like I don't have to hate you to fight you. So like, it's all a business and we're all like athletes. So to me, it's like a sport. So like, I've had a couple people from around here tell me, "Oh man, would you accept that fight if they offered it?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I mean, it's not like we're not like BFFs. We're friends. We're friendly, but it's not like I'm not trying to kill the guy or anything like that. It's sport. Like, yeah, we're both trying to get paid, and like we're both in that rankings, that division, that spot where it makes sense for us to fight each other at this time.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. When Neil fought Robbie Lawler, I had talked to him about that one because he had actually said he started his career basically training with Robbie Lawler. Like when he decided to become a pro fighter, he had trained with Robbie Lawler, and he's like, that's a guy I admire. That's a guy I looked up to. And of course, it's there's nothing personal, but I want to beat a former champion. And same thing here. He's number 9. Nothing personal, but you want his ranking.
Yeah, exactly. If like people say, like my mom was like, look at the two guys in the championship fight. You see how they hugged each other after the fight? Why can't you be more nice like them? I'm like, they used to train together. They're friends. And she's like, no way, they're friends. Why would they fight each other? I'm like, they're fighting for the belt. It's gold. It's money on the line. Like you get that belt, it changes your life. So like, there's nothing personal. Like if you ever met both those guys, they're like 2 of the nicest guys in the world, like Camaro and Gilbert. So like, I'm like, if 2 teammates could do that, like 2 non-teammates and friends could fight. Like I don't sit there. Like it's like where I tell people too, where like, oh, why don't you talk trash in your call out? And I'm like, Lee Jingling probably doesn't even speak English. And for me to be fake and like say I hate the guy when I really don't hate the guy. Like I don't know the guys. Like I don't have to be Kobe Covington or something like that to get the attention. I'm like, it made sense. So it was like a respectful call out. It wasn't like I was like, bro, I don't have to fake it. That's the thing with me. Like when I see a lot of these fighters trying to be something they're not. Like fans read into that and they see that. To me, I like to be genuine. I like to be like, a lot of my stuff is like funny stuff. And I feel like a lot of fans like that, just being a normal person. Like I don't have to be a crazy dude and try to fake what type of person I am. Like it's all going to come at the right time to me. And, like I always bring up the Masvidal thing where it took Masvidal so long to finally get the recognition he deserved. Like he was one of my favorite fighters coming up and he was always the same person, always the same guy. He never changed. And it literally just took that one fight against Ben Askren where his whole life changed from it just because of that one performance. And people all of a sudden now they realize, oh man, this guy's a superstar. But he's always been that same guy.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talk about, I remember having this conversation with Kamaru Usman years ago before he was, right basically where you are, number 13, number 14 in the division. And he couldn't get those top guys to fight him. He talked about the frustration of that, of these guys who didn't want to fight him. But the time eventually came. He stepped up. He took some tough fights, and he ended up obviously where he's at now in the welterweight championship. I imagine same thing for you. Like you're going to keep chipping away. If it's got to be the number 12 guy next, you'll take out the number 12 guy. If it's got to be number 11, it's number 11. But eventually, you want to get to those guys. I was trying to help you skip the line a little bit with the Neil Magny fight, but you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, exactly. Like you said, like if it has to be the long route, I'll take the long route. But if I could skip the line, I'll skip the line. But like if I have to, I'm on the ladder right now. So if I could climb literally one rung by one rung, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'll do that. And it's only going to make me better. It's only going to make me that better guy. Like if I can't beat everybody in the division, I don't deserve to be champion. So like, I'm not afraid to fight anybody in the division. And like, I had to put my name down. If I say, yo, I'll fight anybody, that means if I think I could be champion, I have to be willing to say yes to everybody. So like these guys that are like trying to pick and choose their way of getting to the top and it's funny where I saw like, I just saw a stat where it was like Masvidal literally only has beat one ranked fighter right now in the welterweight division, but he's going to be fighting for the title next. And it's based off of, his name brand and his, the way he sells himself. But, that took years to get to that level. He's been in the game for 15 years. So to me, he earned it. He earned that spot. He didn't just jump the gun and skip the line in front of everybody. He's been in the game for a while. And, I want to see guys like him get paid. I want to see guys like Poirier, where you see him where it's like, I'll take the McGregor fight again, or give me an AD fight. Like, you see these older guys where you're starting to realize, you're a prize fighter too, and you want to worry about your family and get that paycheck and get the retirement money. And that's what these guys are thinking about now. You're starting to realize that if these guys are doing it, hey, all right, maybe I need to be smarter with the way I'm picking my fights and smarter with the way I'm saving my money up.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, coming out of a fight like that, obviously it was a 3-round battle. So I imagine you're not, ready to jump back in there tomorrow, but do you have an idea, like what kind of timeline would you like to fight again?
Yeah, it's one of those kind of things where it's like an awkward time because it's Ramadan's coming up in April. So like to me, mid-April would be perfect. But I don't want to, especially now, like I fought during Ramadan before when I was unranked. But now I'm at that point now where like I've earned the break during Ramadan and able to not train that. Sometimes, like I said, I had to earn that spot. If they call me for that a fight during that, I had to take it. But now that I got a ranking, I got to be a lot smarter with the way I want to choose my camp. So hopefully I want to get maybe June. I'm looking at June or maybe late May to get a return, just because Ramadan literally fell right in the right mode where it's like, all right, you usually take a week off after a fight. And then the next cards that are coming up are April. That's why I was honestly calling out Li Jingling, because I knew it was they're going to Singapore. And I was like, all right, April makes sense for us to fight in Singapore. But it's like smack dab in the middle. But, if they do offer that fight and, if it's like a fight night and they want to make it a main event, why not?
Yeah, I remember we talked, I think we did an interview like a year or two ago where we talked about you fighting during Ramadan. I know you said you're willing to do it, but it is a sacrifice. And obviously, now that you're ranking, like I said, I mean, listen, you got to be smart about it, right? I mean, you got to be, listen, it's one thing if they say, hey, can you fight, the number 5 guy in the division, and obviously it's worth the risk. But then on the flip side of that, you don't, necessarily want to take any risk for that same kind of thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. It was like funny because when I caught COVID, my last fight, it was literally that Sunday, the week of the fight, and then I called up Ali and I was like, "Yeah, bro, I think I'm sick. Is there a way the UFC could give me a rapid COVID test real quick so I can just test myself before I go to Vegas? Because I don't want to go down there and then have COVID and then have to drive back home." And he's like, "Brother, if you're sick, we're not fighting." I said, "No, I don't care. If it's a cold, I'm fighting. If it's not COVID, I'm fighting." He's like, "Brother, you're ranked. Be smart. We're not. If you don't feel good, we're not fighting." I said, "Dude, I don't care what it is. If it's cold, I'll be good by Saturday. Be quiet." And then ended up being COVID. But like the way he was like, "Brother, no. We're ranked. Be smarter. If you're sick, we're not fighting." And I was like, "No, I don't care."
That's funny. That's what you do, a good Ali impression too. I like that. Let me ask you before I get out of here, Belal. Obviously, beyond your own fight career, you've also been killing it with the podcast, which I've really enjoyed. Remember the show? You've been doing a great job over there, man. Have you been having fun doing the podcast?
Yeah, man, it's been awesome. It's funny. John Anik, was telling me all the time, like, "Yo, you should do a podcast. I want to do a podcast with you. I want you to get to do a podcast." And I just kept like, all right. And then, like it was one of those, I wanted to do something different where it wasn't like the same old podcasts that everybody else is doing. And I made it like my type of style where it was fun, game show style. And it's been so the coolest thing about it is just like when I slide in, because like a lot of times I literally just slide into DMs of asking these guys to come on the show with me. So then I'll literally slide into DMs. They'd be like, "Hey, you want to come on the show?" And a lot of them are like the nicest guys in the world. Like, "Oh yeah, for sure, we'll come on the show." And I'm expecting them to say no. Like I'll sit there and I'll go through like, I'll send like 10 DMs out, and I'm expecting like, if I get 1 or 2 out of them to say yes, all right, cool, I got the contestants. But then I have like 3, and then, oh crap, I got 3 to say yes. Hey, then I have to switch it up and tell one of them to go next week or the week after. But like that has been the most surprising thing, is that most of these guys are just so easily to say yes. Like I had Dustin Poirier on there. I got Cejudo and Kelvin Gastelum on this week. Like big names that are just like so just willing to say yeah. And I had Bisping on there before, and I was like, man, it's crazy that these guys are so easy to say yeah. And Bisbee's like, yeah, you're a nice guy, you know, like it's not you're not a jerk or anything like that. So like people want to help you out, and I'm like, oh, you know, that means a lot that they have my like respect for that.
Yeah. So here's an idea. Before I let you go, Belal, let me throw this out there as your next episode to Remember the Show. I think you should have Li Jing Liang somehow. I don't know how, because maybe a little bit of a language barrier, and Neil Magny. And then somehow the competition ends with your next fight. How do you like that?
Wow, that right there's a hot one right there.
I'm just saying, if you want an idea, there's an idea.
That's a good point. I'm gonna do that.
Well, Belal, congratulations again on an amazing win, man. It was an amazing performance. Obviously, enjoy a little bit of downtime. I know you're not going to ever take too much time away from the gym, but enjoy a little downtime. And thank you as always for doing this, man. I really do appreciate it.